All right, Tom, it's on you. If you'll bring it up, I'll go ahead and get the Bivens decision out of the way and get the meeting kicked off. Thank you.
Are you going to screen share it, Justin?
I think he mentioned, Tom, that it would be easier if you screen shared so you could scroll as you needed to.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right, can somebody let me know if you can see the agenda?
I can see it.
Thanks, Laura. Hey, welcome
All right.
everybody to the Kentucky General Assembly meeting. I see a lot of new names out there, so welcome to everyone. My name is Tom. I'm on Shelby County, and I'm actually a co-coordinator for Kentucky and the General Assembly coordinator. So welcome everybody. We'll get it kicked off. Bivens decision. Let's see. Justin, does anyone have a copy of the Bivens? I can pull one up.
I'll read it real quick if you want.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, buddy. Let's see. I said real quick. I apologize. Yeah, I got it right. All right. It says June 25th. The Kentucky General Assembly. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner to eliminate all conflict and false allegations. Is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or an agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Additionally, are there any United States citizens or citizens of the United States present? Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone here is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or caressed to be here must fully disclose their presence or purpose now or leave the premises or the call. If they subsequently show up as a federal witness, they discredited for failure to disclose. Is there any response to the Bivens decision? All right. Seeing none, if you don't mind, just a brief explanation of when it says this meeting is private. That doesn't mean that it's private to the general public. We are not a secret society. We're not closed to anybody. Our meetings are closed when we're doing business within our committees and on our pillars. But our General Assembly meetings and our open meetings that we offer are open to the general public. That's general public status corrected Americans and general public United States citizens that are looking to status correct. So that being said, we welcome all. We hope you learn something from the call. We hope you find what you're looking for within status correction. Joining the assembly process is a different issue. So we hope to express that tonight as we go through our business meeting. If you're not status corrected, and I won't call out names, but I see one that I'm aware of, then any move that's brought to the floor, you'll not be able to speak on. Okay. And so we'll hold all self-governing questions till after the meeting's over, till the meeting is adjourned. Out of respect for everybody's time, and we get down to brass tacks and business and get it out of the way. So appreciate everybody being here. I yield. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks to Belinda for putting together this new style agenda. I'm just going to go ahead and read what we've got. What is the purpose of the Assembly? Mission statement: our Kentucky Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction state and county court system serving the people of Kentucky, the preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. What is the purpose of this meeting? Purpose of this meeting is to report on committee activities, discuss and approve issues of the Kentucky Assembly and the Kentucky State de jure government, discuss committee reports and motions. So I like that. That's pretty good. Any additions to this agenda that need to go out before we move on?
I would like to add something. We do have a ombudsman committee, and I was hoping we could maybe meet next Wednesday, depending on Joe Hayes's schedule. Since we don't have a militia meeting, I was going to bring that up tonight, and I yield.
I think, is there a spot for ombudsman? Can we talk about that when it comes up in the agenda?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I yield.
Deron, are you on here?
No, he's at work.
Okay.
I do not see it. I do not see him on the call.
Okay. For coordinators report, I haven't had the time to spend a whole lot of time on the coordinator meetings. However, I did take a lot of notes from the training on the 6th of June on his meeting. And so I'll just kind of go over some of the things that were brought up that I noted in that meeting. So this is from the 6th of June. I think it was a Thursday. The first thing I noted, and this was before the meeting started, they were talking about silver scrap certificates. And if you never heard that or know about that, I would jot it down and maybe do some research if you have some extra time. But it was fairly interesting. And what it really is a silver-backed dollar. So instead of Federal Reserve note, there were dollars issued out at one point in our history that were, if I'm not mistaken, silver certificates. And so the idea was you could exchange a $10 silver certificate for $10 worth of silver. Reserve note pretty much in 1968 did away with an exchange for FRNs with silver. But I think the idea and what's being discussed is that you can find these online. I found some on eBay. You can get like 20 of them for $15. And the idea is that while they might not be worth a whole lot now, when the FRN does tank and silver skyrockets, apparently these silver certificates are still valid, and you could exchange them for an equal amount of silver. So just something to put in your hip pocket. And I did talk about the East Mediterranean oil basin, which I had never heard of, but it was fairly interesting because she was discussing the petrodollar. And the petrodollar goes back to Henry Kissinger and Saudi Arabia, a contract that was made, I think, in the 50s or 60s, basically saying that between the United States and Saudi Arabia, that if Saudi Arabia was going to sell oil to any other country in the world, that country would have to use United States dollars to buy that oil from Saudi Arabia. And so there's apparently all this oil in the Eastern Mediterranean that has never been developed. And it's never been developed because of Saudi Arabia and their oil and the petrodollar. Well, now Saudi Arabia is apparently running out of oil. And so the petrodollar is basically no longer. And so I think it was 2 weeks ago, the contract expired on this contract between the United States and Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia didn't renew it. So the petrodollar, from what I understand, is officially over and is no more. And so now, I guess the idea is that the whole point behind this war between Gaza and Israel is so that Israel can eliminate Gaza and get directly to the coast to this port that's already been developed to bring in this oil from the Eastern Med. And so it really sheds a whole new light on the reason for that war and what's going on over there. But just something to be aware of. The East Med oil basin and petrodollar is something to keep in mind. The other thing I thought was interesting, any questions or comments on the East Med oil basin, Justin?
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple. You know, if we all have our data points and all this and what's going on, and because I myself got wrapped up on the Trump train after not voting for my lifetime. When Trump come along, I was so desperate for change, just like everybody else. I jumped on the train. I got fooled like everybody else too, hopefully. But anyway, if you'll go back in your data points, didn't he move the capital to Jerusalem? Right? Oh, and
Yeah,
then okay, right, the embassy, and then Anna has also spoke about how Trump is trying to reorganize, and you know how they bankrupt and create and bankrupt and create. Well, this time when they created, they set up in Jerusalem. So United States is now operated out of Jerusalem. Prove me wrong. Next one is the Russian ruble. When you're talking about the petrodollar, back I think a year and a half ago, Russia did the same thing. They said if you're going to buy our oil, then you have to buy it with ruble. Okay. And then shortly after that, that pipeline got exploded. And Biden has publicly taken responsibility for that. After it, you know, all the Anon group pointed out. I mean, Anon has their purpose, but let's get with reality here. This is the major leagues here in the assembly. So we keep our data points. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Tom. Thanks for the opportunity to comment on it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Justin. I didn't know that about Russia and their oil, so that's really interesting. So if you've been hearing about the dollar and its demise and its way out, I mean, to me that just screams volumes about how fragile the dollar really is right now.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Anna mentioned it. It was in her last article. It was "That's not us and that's not our boys." It was real recent. As I say this, I encourage everybody to stay current with Anna's articles, because you want to know the tip of the spear information, the truth about you get out of the Kabuki theater and how they play things out. She's putting it out 2 weeks before it comes out in the news media. But I don't know if you know it. I don't know if the media is talking about it, because I don't pay no attention to it. Supposedly, United States bombed Russia or airstriked Russia. So put that on your radar too. I yield.
Yeah, what I thought was really interesting about, I mean, the petrodollar to me is huge, and it's been huge for 40 years. And I Googled it online after Anna's article and after she talked about it on the video, and I found one article online on a Google search about the end of this contract, which I thought was amazing. I asked my dad, who's a Fox News junkie. He said they didn't cover it at all, so fairly interesting. Anyway, moving on, the second thing that I thought was interesting was that Anna talked about post-Civil War amendments not being ratified. And if you're a history buff, you might know that the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th amendments, out of those amendments, the 13th, the one ending slavery, is the only one that was officially ratified after the war. The 14th, 15th, and 16th were not properly ratified. The 14th being the one that makes everybody a United States citizen, and the 16th being the one about income taxes. And Anna said, and I wrote it down, it's in quotes, she has absolute proof that those amendments weren't ratified. And I've seen that proof. It's in a congressional record, I think, from 1967, 1968. There's a senator from Louisiana who goes through painstaking detail showing every amendment and the senators that voted, the senators that didn't vote. And so I agree with her that the 14th, 15th, and 16th shouldn't be part of anything that we observe as far as our Constitution goes. The other thing that she mentioned, which I was really glad that she did, because I'm a big I've been really interested about the original 13th Amendment. And if you're not familiar, the original 13th Amendment was called the Titles of Nobility Amendment. And there's this idea that it was lost, that the War of 1812 burned everything and burned all evidence of the original Titles of Nobility Amendment, basically saying if nobody that has an Esquire attached to their name can hold public office. And I've always thought that it was just scrapped from the Constitution, but what Anna was saying was that the original 13th, the title of nobility, is attached to our Constitution, the Constitution for the United States of America, but it has no part with any of the other constitutions. So that was really clarifying for me that it's still on the original Constitution for the Federation, but not for the territorial or the municipal constitutions. That's all I've got for a coordinator's report. Any questions on any of that stuff? Moving on, Chairman Speaker's report. Belinda, do you have any clarifying information on what that's about? Are you on there, Belinda?
Yes, I am. Sorry, my internet's going in and out, and so it's my voice. So, where are you at? On treasurer?
Right under coordinator's report, chairman, speaker's report.
Okay, that is not really something that we have filled right now. What that's supposed to be is like the coordinators, there can actually be somebody who chairs our meeting. So like we can actually elect someone who, instead of the coordinators having to be the ones doing the conversating, we can have somebody that loves public speaking, that likes going over meetings, those kinds of things, that could be our speaker on our meetings versus having individual coordinators. So that's not something that we have filled yet. It's not something we've even known about until now. So this agenda pretty much is the one that we received from Ohio, and Ohio was happy to share a lot of information with us, and hopefully we get more. That's kind of something that we're working on down the pike, but this agenda is something that they use. Now, I did have to modify it quite a bit, and I did take out a lot more items that we don't currently have people in roles and stuff like that that I didn't feel like we needed to leave on here just yet. But so that is just that initial seat. So it's something for us to think about as we move forward. But as of right now, it's not one that's filled.
Okay, so that would possibly be someone that would just speak through the whole meeting, just kind of chair the whole General Assembly meeting.
Yeah, if you've watched any of Anna's meetings that she has had with the different states, they have somebody that usually chairs them that is the leader of that. And they usually do hold another position within this assembly. But like Lisa, she pretty much chairs her meetings. It's a chairman or a woman, pretty much. Just somebody who's basically leading that meeting. Justin or Joe, do you all have more like details on that position?
I do.
I'll yield to Joe.
Just yeah, I guess what ends up occurring after a chair pro tem is nominated for that role and then exercises that role, just short of a pro tem, the other assemblies are successful with having a moderator that assists, and then the Marshal-At-Arms assist, much like Justin is with our coordinators right now. But yeah, a moderator can suffice, and eventually even that same moderator could be nominated for the chair pro tem. And then when official elections take place, and if they are successful in being elected into that role, then they would be that role. And then at some point, the coordinators start to kind of meld themselves into their committees, and then those, say, like Todd here, for instance, would be or could be the chair for the General Assembly committee. So that's usually the rotation that I'm familiar with. I yield.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. So if y'all have watched the meeting where Lisa, well, pretty much Lisa, with being a state citizen, she has the international jurisdiction. She's through her General Assembly's permission, for lack of a better term, through quorum, which this goes for committees, pillars, through quorum discussion. The chairman takes what is come up and presents it to the necessary audience. So putting it to paper, so to speak, putting the plan to paper. So we've seen the meeting where Lisa came on and did her presentation and did the PowerPoint presentation, which was one of 8 of her orientation presentations that they do. And then the following Wednesday, it was a meeting of 3 states. So that's international jurisdiction. The first meeting was our state jurisdiction because I, being a state citizen, was able to go out of that international boundary and answer her call to other states. See? So I was the one that was privy to that email. I answered it on behalf of the assembly because it's a no-brainer, right? Of course we want help. And so we got on that call, and so Lisa chaired that call on behalf of Ohio. And if you've noticed on some of those, if you haven't watched it, I encourage you to watch it. I can get you the link. You'll notice she don't come out and speak her intent. She even goes to say that, we on Ohio will get together and decide what emails we want to share and which ones we don't. She didn't just go right then sharing emails. So yes, we've status corrected, but that don't mean we're lawless and we don't have order. And so I think that kind of gets lost in the whole thing. But Lisa is a perfect example of a state citizen chair. And I encourage everybody to think about that. And she also said, go through the committee list and mark off the ones you're not interested in. And don't think about chairing the committee. Just think about sitting on the committee. And if it's in your heart, if it's in your soul enough, the cream will rise to the top. We're all in this together. There's no fighting, infighting. We're all here to achieve one goal, which is to create an American business, an American brand, with the guidance and direction from the Federation. And Anna is the fiduciary of the Federation. It's not just Anna, it's a group of men and women. Most of them are in their 80s and 70s. She's the fiduciary. She's the spokesman. Okay? So not all this stuff that Anna comes up with is Anna's. Most of it is. She's got the ability to put it to paper for our benefit. But right now, Tom, if you don't mind, or you can speak on it, but this is a perfect time to speak about what you did, so everybody's aware that now we do have a state or a General Assembly chairman. Because if you want to speak to that, I'll yield.
that for me or Todd?
Go ahead, Joe, if you want to speak. And then if Tom feels inclined, he can explain the state citizen.
Sure. Yeah, just really quick, I forgot to reiterate this or to differentiate between chair and then which are seated within committees and then who take on that role of managing that committee and bringing it to fruition. The chair or chair pro tem for the assembly, that's actually the speaker. I mean, if you can imagine Nancy Pelosi in her role, if she was to do the right thing, or any other speaker of the House, Speaker of the Assembly is actually that chair pro tem over the Assembly, and it differentiates between that role on behalf of all of the assemblies, which is elected, and then the chairs under the pillars, also elected. So that's kind of that's how it's rolled out. So I forgot to mention that my first iteration there.
So is this position here, this chairman, chairwoman, speaker, is that the chairperson of the assembly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Lisa Schaefer is the chairwoman of the Ohio Assembly, to put it into reality for everybody.
Okay. So Justin, you're talking about changing my title from coordinator to General Assembly chairman. I think you mentioned that we need 2/3 of the General Assembly meeting to have that approved. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess now is as good as time as any. And I have learned here in the last couple weeks that we don't do motions. We move the floor back and forth. Motions is their jurisdiction. I know it's just a word game, but for transparency and prosperity's sake and just course correction, because that's what we have the ability to do. We just go ahead. There's 18 people on the call, and I'm tracking that one of them, so 17. So 2/3 of that. Somebody help me out with the math. 11, 12. So we need 12 yays. And the move that I'm making as Justin on Lincoln County is that since Tom has status changed from state national to state citizen, is that correct, Tom?
That's correct.
Okay. And the way he did that was simply made sure that, he had his IRS revocation of election to pay taxes. So he cut ties to the IRS and make sure that that's on the public record. Declaration of political status is on the public record. Make sure all your documents cutting ties with the corporation is on the public record. And then it's simply getting a hold of a recording secretary and saying, hey, I want to serve as a state citizen for a while. And then after the work's done and the smoke clears, go back and be a state national and plow your fields and take care of your family. That being said, Tom has changed his status to American state citizen. That gives him the capability to be able to chair the General Assembly. And that gives him the ability to be the spokesman for that in the international community when we go to speak with Ohio. It don't mean that he needs me as an escort. That means that he has the jurisdiction to go to talk to Ohio's General Assembly chairman as well on international meetings. Laura, your hands up.
Yes, because we discussed this about me in the past when we were on the call with Lisa, and I have all my 928.
I can't barely hear you. I'm sorry.
Now,
Yeah.
so my question was about going to the citizen, because I am an ASN, so I've already done all that paperwork. Is it just me saying I want to be a citizen?
Can you prove that you've noticed the IRS? Can you prove that your declaration of political status? And I'm not saying prove it to me. You have to be able to self-govern and put that on the public record to be able to serve as a state citizen. So if you haven't taken the time to do your revocation of election to pay taxes, I would do that, because
Yeah,
that's one of the checks. That's one of the checks on the check mark.
but we've already
Doctor,
done that. That was in our 928 packs.
okay,
So just send proof of that, our green card to you, or
right. Most people will send all that. They'll send their letter that they sent to the de facto IRS, both of them. They'll send that before they mail it out. Good self-governing technique is to make copies of everything you put in a notice. Send them the original with all your witnessing stamps and stuff like this. Send them this. Make a copy of it. When you start getting receipts, whether it being green receipt or going to the postal .com and printing out something, send it all together in one PDF so that the recording secretary can print that out, put a publishing stamp on it, and make it official. And then you put it on the LRO, but then that document is yours with the publishing stamp to self-govern and keep. Because if the LRO goes down, where's your proof that you've gotten response from the IRS? So that's the process. So that being said, let's move on with this move. I move the floor to make Tom, or to move Tom from a coordinator to a chairman of the General Assembly. Is there a second?
Second, Joe on Spencer.
Thank you, Joe. Is there any more? Is there any more comments or question about this specific move? All right. Let's see. We got 19 on the call now. Is that Belinda? Yeah, that's Belinda addition. So everybody, with the exception of Caitlin on Jefferson, either raise your hand emoji, so we can do a head count.
Hey, Justin,
Yeah.
if I may, Kayla's my wife, but she's done the 928 documents also.
Okay, I apologize. I'm tracking
No,
two
it's fine.
Caitlin. I'm tracking two Caitlin. So if she's on the LRO, she's fine to do this. So we do have a total of 19 status corrected. Before we do this, Laura, your hand's up.
I did not mean for my hand to be up. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Just making sure everybody's heard. Okay. So it's been seconded by Joe Hayes on Spencer County. Like I said, is there any abstains?
My hand was up to vote Tom in. That's why it was up, because you had asked for hands up.
Okay, so we're learning. We're all learning. So is there any abstains? Is there any nays? At this time, everybody with yay, either first put a hand up emoji if you can. You got 8, 9, 10, and I'm counting them. 13. If you click your participants in your window, you can see the raised hand emojis, and that's 13. That's 2/3, more than 2/3, and that's what we need. So congratulations, Tom. Thank you. Thanks everybody for your participation. I yield.
Sean Blasky. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate the position. And just to clarify, Belinda this last week published my IRS, my voter registration, revocation, and my military as well. So all those have been put out there, recorded on the LRO. So
Yeah. So if you need to find research for your self-governing to make sure that all your notices are out there, your 928 packet, if you went through Max Taylor, he gives you an excellent checklist of your notices. Pretty much all those notices need to be done and sent and have receipt that they've received it. You don't need permission from any of them. You just need receipt that they've received it. That's voter cancellation, IRS, declaration of political status. What's some more, y'all? Am I missing some? I know I'm missing some.
Military.
Yeah, your military, if he's in the military.
Decoration,
Justin.
common carry.
Common carry, yeah, that's one of those things. I don't think, that's what that document is, just expressed that, hey, I know my Second Amendment right, and I'm exercising that right with this document right here. Because we all know if you don't exercise your rights, you lose them.
Expatriation.
Well, those are your 928 documents. I'm speaking specifically to the notices, because it's come to light just how this thing changes all the time. It's come to light that, and it was a question asked by Dustin, which was a former coordinator, to Anna on a coordinator call, that, okay, now that we've come through the pioneering stage somewhat of this thing, what is required of a state citizen? Do we still require the 928 packet? And she said, no, we're eventually the 928 packet, the corporation will know who we are enough that it won't be needed, but the notices still are. So that's one thing that needs to click. The 928 documents, that's just something that's been provided by the living law firm as a template. Belinda is living proof that that can be done in other methods. But the main thing to make sure of when we're talking state citizen, state national, is if you're a doctor or a lawyer, unfortunately, you're going to have to quit your practice, because you can't go nowhere. You have to have but anyway, I'm kind of getting off subject. That's what's required. Hopefully we can share this video and everybody can clear it up if needed. I yield.
Blinken is another one that we send our notices to, our political status, and he usually does not accept them.
It's like I said, you don't need a green receipt. You need to send it some way. Priority, registered mail. Priority mail you can track too. Registered mail, of course, you do the green receipt. But your registered mail number, you can take that number and go to UnitedStatesPostalService.com, enter it in, track it, print out the paperwork that it says delivered to their office at this time. Print that out, put it into one PDF to help the recording secretaries out, so they don't have to, print it all out, make it one PDF, which is your letter that you sent and your proof that they've received it. Send it to a recording secretary. They print it out. They put a publishing stamp on it. That's what makes it an official document. Okay. Then that official document can be put in a newspaper. It can put on the LRO. It can be put at the county clerks if you can get them to do it. The main place it needs to be put is your records in your files, because if the system goes down, nobody's doing nothing, and the only thing you got is the paperwork. So that's a little bit of self-governing tip right there. I yield. All right, Tom, sorry for rambling. Let's thank you for thank you for accepting that position.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the confidence. All right, moving on, and call for candidates to fill vacated positions. I'm assuming that's as we go underneath here for Kentucky General Assembly pillar committees. General Education Committee, as you can see, is unfilled. New Member Orientation Committee, introduction of new members. Ariana Scott, does someone speak on that? Not you.
Yes, this is Belinda on Bullet. I just signed her up and got her registered. She is fully papered up. And I sent out an email. I did go ahead and update. Apparently I had been missing a few people sending out those introduction emails for the new members, but I did update that. So you all will start receiving those moving forward. But she is our newest member. I was looking to see if she was on tonight's call, but it doesn't look like she's made it. So, but she is new, and we're going to start adding new people as we get them papered up. We're going to add them to our agenda so that we can welcome them if they join us. Go ahead, Justin. I yield.
Thank you, Belinda. I'm going to put my time out there Saturday evening at 7 o'clock. I'm going to start the first orientation class. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be bare bones first trial run. But I do have a PowerPoint ready to present that we could all do. That way we can all get on the same page. And it was shared to me by Ohio, and it's current as of August 2023. I haven't been able to get a hold of the one they're using now, all 8. I hope to be able to do that. And part of my intent through this orientation is to get us all on the same page, but hopefully somebody build confidence in themselves to be able to do an orientation class for people that have come to the land and soil, just like Ariana Scott just recently did. So two main intents. 1, orientation, we get all the same level of music. 2, we build confidence in somebody to take over. I yield.
Hey, Justin, is your orientation class going to be for status corrected only?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Events committee is unfilled. Records committee is unfilled. If you need an LRO, there's a link to get an account. Treasury report, Belinda, I yield.
That's just, it actually says the chair. I probably need to be taken out of that because I haven't been voted in as a chair. So that's just giving information. This was my first update on this one, so I missed quite a bit of stuff. But anyway, that right there is just the beginning. Like, we haven't gotten down to the business part yet. This first part that's here, this is just supposed to be information and kind of getting us on people used to seeing those positions and getting them filled, and sparking questions and debates and stuff in our meetings to get people to volunteer for these, and then just information. So at this point, I mean, if you scroll down to I can go over the treasury now, but I would rather wait until we get down into the new business, because this section is just going over the different spots. Okay.
Okay, I get you now. I think I'm tracking with you.
Okay.
So this is just, okay. All right, I'm tracking. All right, so Belinda is treasurer, and there's some information for GFG banking. You don't have your global family group, we can talk about that afterwards. Oversight committee, ombudsman. Vetting committee is Ray. General election committee is unfilled. Office of Marshal-At-Arms is Justin. Outreach committee is Ashley Gilbert. IT infrastructure is also Ashley. And now we're at the Kentucky General Assembly standing pillar committees.
May I?
Oh, go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
Yeah, this is Joe. I wanted to go back with what Laura had proposed as far as, going back over the initial ombudsman service, or just a committee. So if she wants to meet me there, and if I have time on Wednesdays in between Assembly Militia pillar committee meetings, which is what I'm mainly a part of that, especially, or in particular. But if she wants to be there, I can meet her there or anyone else, and we can go over some of the preliminaries.
I can be there. Are you talking next Wednesday?
Yes, or whichever Wednesday in between the Assembly Militia committee meeting.
Okay, well, tomorrow's militia, so next week would be in between.
All right, I'll get with you, and if you want to, we'll breathe life into that role, because it's vital. I shouldn't have to even mention that, but yeah, let's do it.
So that's the 26th Wednesday, right, Laura?
I believe, isn't it the 3rd? Because we have militia tomorrow, so tomorrow's the 26th. So it would be the following Wednesday.
Damn, I'm way off. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, if we can have that at Justin, if we could, I know things are migrating to the calendar on the Assembly
Yep.
website. Yeah,
Yep.
that'd be great.
Okay, so Wednesday the 3rd, then I'll mark it down for an ombudsman kind of discussion. I got you. 7 o'clock, Laura? Or no, it would be 7. Yeah, it would be 7, wouldn't it?
7's fine with me. That's our usual meeting time.
Okay, I'll put it in and get the link out. Yeah.
Where's the calendar for the meetings?
We
Yeah.
are in progress. We are in progress on that, working on that. So just bear with us as we get that populated on the website.
Okay.
Do you have any IT skills, Austin?
I'd say the only one, not really. I only mess
Okay.
with like car computers and stuff.
Yeah, buddy. What about your wife? Just know, I'll put this out there. We could use some IT skills. So I
She
yield.
may, I'll ask her unless she just wants to hop on and say something. I don't know. But I'll ask her.
All right. Sorry, Tom.
No, it's all good. So, General Assembly meetings are Sunday at 6 o'clock. Those are the committees that we're looking to fill: litigation, court venue, land patent, law, education, jury pool, and the sheriff's committee. Notice some information on ham radio, if we have a ham radio expert among us. Probably share some information there at some point. And talking to your local sheriff, I didn't have time to click on that, but that looked pretty interesting to me, because I've always been wanting to talk to the local sheriff about who we are and what we're all about. At the coroner's office committee, we'll get to that later in the new business.
I beg your pardon, but Joe Hazel Spencer has his hand up.
I can't see that. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to send over to you, to the General Assembly, some more information on 50s and 60s, 1950s, 1960s handbooks that were created with the mindset of sheriffs of that time. I have one in particular, that being coming from Virginia, and it was written for a admired sheriff from times even before the 50s and 60s. That's a 2017 revision, or I beg your pardon. It was of a sheriff of the mid 20th century, and then it was written for them as a handbook that came out in 2017. I don't know which county on Virginia it was written for, or was it coming from, but it may be a collaborative effort from the Virginia Sheriff's Association. But it does touch on the mindset of what the sheriffs had back then, serving in that capacity and embracing the role of the county guardian. And which was interesting, you'll see this. What was interesting about the mindset of the sheriffs back then, we're talking 70 years ago almost, right about that. They referred to their county men and women in the community as sovereign citizens. It's very interesting, because if that's the case, at least at some point, to some degree, that wasn't considered a pejorative. It wasn't a derogatory term. It was actually a term of endearment and respect to the people as being sovereign in whatever capacity that they were. We are working through providing articles and sub-articles and dissecting what has happened with that notion. It could be that citizen sovereign and sovereign citizen, the idea of being ascribed as being a citizen by default through the birth certificate, and 96 hours later qualified for Social Security and being thrust into those programs. But at some point, or at no point that I've seen so far, it's a several hundred-page handbook, as well as another writing from that time period. So it's two handbooks, or two books, one handbook and another book. It just mentions how the idea and mindset of the sheriffs were attempting to respect the people and the office of sheriff, and the contentions that they were having during those decades with municipal city police and federal encroachment onto their counties and whatnot. So I'll send that over to you, and anybody who's interested, I know there are a few that's interested in the role of the county reeve, and the peacekeeping task force has that. That's part of our responsibility. I'll send it over to you. And then we do have a handbook or a manual for the Baofeng, I think UV50, for those who has that equipment, such as myself. If you're needing that, it's a strategic manual to how to set it and use it tactically and battery efficient usage and whatnot. So I can send that over to you as well, and to Todd. I yield.
Thanks, Joe. I put two sheriff PDFs in the chat for anyone that's interested. I've got that Anderson on sheriffs and another sheriff handbook. I don't know if those are similar to the ones you're talking about, Joe, but those are in the chat if anyone's interested in sheriff information.
Yeah, it's a real intriguing study for sure.
There's international business standing pillar committees. Nick is our chairman, and I'll let you talk about that when we get to new business, Nick.
Just a slight correction.
Go ahead.
He's not necessarily a chairman. Right now, he stands as a coordinator. We can work him up,
Thank you.
chairman, just like we did you. You.
Roger that. Good call. Militia Special Purpose Pillar Committee. Todd is our coordinator there. There are the committees that need to be filled. And on to new business. Coordinator report kind of covered that already. Anything else to add for coordinator report? Go ahead, Justin.
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay. All right, outreach committee report. In need of someone who wants to take over outreach. If you're looking for more information, there's a webinar to help you out. Librarian report. Looking for someone to take over ombudsman and librarian role.
Can I speak to the outreach committee report briefly for
Please.
information's sake?
I
have Tammy Healy's direct contact. I am in contact with her. I know others are, to be able to get on that. I think it's a monthly nationwide outreach call, but I have it on Tammy's radar for Kentucky to get some people, men and women, together and get back on and do a podcast on her podcast series for the second round. So let's outside the General Assembly, if we want to schedule an outreach committee, we don't have to say we're part of that committee. We just need to get it scheduled so we can have space for that discussion. Is all I'm saying. So let's think about that, y'all. Let's try and get another podcast going. Let's get somebody out there for outreach to head that up, and then eventually move them into the chair position. Are you?
Go ahead, Joe, your hand's up.
Yeah, I guess I got a lot to share today. Thanks. The main with Peacekeeping Task Force for all 50 states, this being by virtue of the Assembly liaisons. Just by the way, we have at last count an average of 22 to 25, so anywhere between 22 and 27 actually participating liaisons in training. I speak on this because the focus for the Peacekeeping Task Force is mainly in two sections of the Assembly. Through the obviously first and foremost is the Assembly Militia, the structure, the Federation approval for just basic familiarization with what that term means, what is offered at a base level, the approachability and publication of what's the Assembly Militia is provided, and so on. But those reports then migrate over to the Assembly Militia, the General Assembly through their oversight committee as part of its outreach. So that's basically the information that's funneled back through. The assembly liaisons are given an opportunity to share their reports. It's attached to the oversight committee, which is not used unless needed, but it helps to, prime them for any organizational breach or, anything that might, they may need to know. And the Peacekeeping Task Force is an outside source, federation created, state sponsored. So that's just part of their workload. Of course, everything goes through the Marshal-At-Arms. So Marshal-At-Arms as the internal peacekeeping, and then as the reports bounce back and reverberate back through the assembly, through the Ombudsman Service, just that they're also part of the oversight committee. So there's a symbiotic relationship between internal peacekeeping and external peacekeeping. But I'm not mentioning anything regarding sheriffs or any association or affiliation with sheriffs. That's external to the assembly. But your sheriffs are a part of your assembly militia pillar structure, also are your continental marshals. So the relationship for the liaisons is to vouch for the 4 pillars in their entirety because of the qualification of ex parte Milligan. But our access into the assemblies is through the assembly militia. That's our main focus. Nothing jural, nothing business, and as a guest to the General Assembly. But outreach is where we substantiate our efforts further. Now, what was mentioned regarding Tammy Healy on North Carolina and Louise Anthony, the Peacekeeping Task Force is on the verge of receiving an extreme overhaul, if only by the efforts of what the Ohio Assembly has put together, or Louise Anthony being part of an Ohioan. Her efforts for many months has worked hard to put something really, really great that can overhaul all outreach committees. And the Peacekeeping Task Force is bringing that work in to give work like Louise has provided, and to give it a nice home, so that it can grow and nurture and just, be held in that regard and to that standard. So just be prepared if most of that made sense to everybody. Go back to the recording after this and listen, but yes, your outreach committees are going to get a serious boost in the next 3 months, I think. So I yield. Oh, sorry, add me to that as a support member to the outreach. Belinda, whoever's keeping the list there. Appreciate it. I yield.
Thanks, Joe. And Justin, just to get me up to speed, who again is Tammy Healy?
She is the outreach coordinator, outreach chairman for New Jersey. She does the podcast series. I don't know, before Mattermost went down, there was a podcast channel. As I yield, I'll look for it on my web browser. I'll share the First Kentucky podcast, and that way you'll have that channel. And she still does them. So she's going back through all the states now for the second run. And then there's a lot of good conversation on them. A lot of good self-governing techniques are shared. A lot of good assembling techniques are shared. Keep in mind, the two are completely different, but one and the same. We self-govern as individuals, but when we come together as a quorum in a body of politics, that's how we run our business, is self-governing. So no permission. We do it lawfully by common law, and then we defend ourselves peacefully. Peaceful non-compliance. I yield.
Yeah, Tom, I misspoke. This is Joe. Yeah, I meant New Jersey. I mentioned Tammy as being on North Carolina earlier. So.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Marshal-At-Arms report. Justin, how you?
Yeah, sorry for being so long-winded in this, you all, but hopefully as we grow, this role as Marshal-At-Arms could be a little bit more quieter and be as it should be, just a fly on the wall. But with that said, we are growing. And first item up is all committee leaders. Now, I'm going to put a little disclaimer on this. Just because we meet once a month, does that mean that you cannot reach out to me if you wake up in the morning and you say, Lord Jesus, I want to serve in the committee? Reach out to me by email and say, hey, Justin, schedule us an outreach committee meeting. Okay, because it's on our agenda. These committees that we're going through pretty much need to be filled. Okay, and the only way we fill them is by spontaneous effort. That's about what it is. So that being said, my email is right here in this agenda. And I didn't mean to. I'm just trying to have fun during the call with the whole thing, the whole religious monk. But reach out to me on the email. Tell me when you want the day, the time, and if there's not already a meeting scheduled, and it can be at your convenience. And everybody else will either watch the recording that I keep as in my office, or they can participate if they have the availability. And keep in mind, just because you miss it on one day, don't mean you're going to be not going to be able to go back to it. You know, we're rolling on this thing. It's week to week, month to month, year by year. All right. Any questions on how to get meetings scheduled? The meetings will go. The schedule is an hour and a half meeting time, but I'll schedule it for 2 hours in case there's ever over discussion.
I just want to note that it says that we're having militia meetings every Wednesday. And we just discussed that we were going to have an ombudsman on the off Wednesdays. So it's every other Wednesday that we're having militia meetings. I yield.
Where does it say that at, you reckon?
It says under Marshal-At-Arms report, booting up the militia now has meetings every Wednesday.
Oh, well, I'm looking at a different agenda. That's why I asked for the current agenda. This is not the current agenda that we're going by. So stop screen sharing, please. And
Yeah,
I'll go
that's
what I
not
wrote.
the updated what.
Thank you. Sorry for that, Laura. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. Let me know when somebody can see it, please.
I can see it.
Thank you. Okay, so this is what I'm speaking on right now. All committees, leaders, right here. Here's the email. To check the Zoom schedule in order to plan a meeting that needs to be recorded. Right now, they'll be scheduled for 2 hours. If you get into your committee meetings and see that they're going to need a little bit more time, we can work through that. But we start at this point, we'll build on it. Okay. So now that we got that confusion out of the way, any questions or comments on how to schedule meetings? And I'll put this in the chat once I get done speaking. That way you can go back and watch the recording and kind of go through it as well, if you want to. Okay, moving on. I'm taking applications to start filling Deputy Marshal-At-Arms roles within the Assembly. The job description is to moderate meetings within the different pillars as they happen. This is to keep decorum and also to help pillar coordinators or chairs to be able to focus on running the meeting and presentations of pertinent information to their respective pillar and committees. The deputy will assist with meeting chat questions as well as any raised hands that come to the floor. This just helps whoever's running the meeting keep on task and not have to check the chat, check the raised hands. That's what moderators do. And as we build the committees and as my office grows with deputies, hopefully we can put a deputy in every pillar to help those pillar coordinators and pillar chair take care of keeping decorum, scheduling the meetings. And my office will review the meetings and post them to the IT committee as necessary. So the opportunities out there. If you have any, you don't necessarily need any skills. I'm willing to train. Okay. But the training would be like an on-the-job training. It would be a meeting here or there to discuss different issues, research topics, make sure we're all on the same page and we can be in agreement that when we step forth within the pillars, that we're all speaking the same thing and we're not all speaking different stuff as to cause conflict and infighting and a power trip. Okay. So, that said, any comments or questions on that, on fulfilling Deputy Marshal-At-Arms role within the Assembly? All right. Moving on, I've applied for the Continental Marshal Service. I'm starting an apprenticeship program to fulfill and carry on with what I successfully established within the office of the Kentucky Marshal-At-Arms. I will not abandon my post, and I am looking for a man or a woman to volunteer and learn what the role of the Marshal-At-Arms entails as I comprehend it. All interested candidates should reach out to me at my email at the following email address with any questions. And go back to this statement here. I'm pretty much going to lay down what I have established as far as Zoom accounts, how I keep recordings. I have a recording right here of every meeting that we've had since 2021 when I was elected to the State Marshal-At-Arms position. This hard drive will get handed over. Everything that I have set up will be handed to you, whoever fulfills the role, and build on that from there. Okay. Now it's going to be a 180 day apprenticeship program, which is 6 months. So that means it's a right seat ride, and in layman's terms, that means you follow me for 6 months, and then 2 weeks after that, I follow you for 2 weeks. Setting up meetings, handling your deputies that hopefully will come on board from the prior statement within my part of the agenda as far as filling deputy marshals. So the time has come. Once the candidate establishes proper intent with the General Assembly, then I will afford what time I can to teaching and helping whoever is interested in taking over as the Kentucky Marshal-At-Arms and take it to the next level as Kentucky gets closer to full assembly status. So keep in mind, I'm offering a 6-month on-the-job training as Marshal-At-Arms. And a little review, if you want to know what we talk about on our meetings as Marshal-At-Arms bridge calls, this link right here, I'll share it in the chat right quick, is an excellent meeting. And it's not just what you would think that we talk about. We talk about everything. All right. So, and again, all of our meetings are public. I've been given the go ahead to share this with whoever. And so with this announcement, I decided to share it. So with that said, let's take it all out of the General Assembly setting at this point. Any interested candidates to Deputy Marshal-At-Arms or to eventually take over as the State Marshal-At-Arms? Of course, that whole process would be an electoral process as well. Make sure the people are good with the candidate. With that, I'm going to yield. Any questions or concerns? All right, like I said, I'm going to close this out on my computer. I'm going to share this. Now, this is my version of the agenda. It's not the agenda we're going by, so just keep that in mind. I yield.
Yeah, Justin, I would just keep it up, because I don't think I have that one.
Okay,
So if that's the current one, I'll just keep it up and we'll go with that.
no sweat. I yield.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Militia report, Todd, you have the floor. I yield.
So I just want to say that is not the most recent. I did some changes to the militia report. So if Justin will stop sharing, I will share. Let me know if you can see this.
I'm tracking.
Let's see
Okay.
it.
So I updated it today, and then I ended up just seeing just recently where Belinda had sent me, and I didn't get back in touch with her, but I think she ended up sending it back. So maybe you did not get the updated report or agenda. So in this, to start off first, what we've been working on, I've been working with Joe Hayes with the PKTF and the business card that we're trying to get set up for the assembly, for the militia pillar, to be as a contact card. Joe's working with IT right now, and I'll let Joe speak, but I don't think right now they have the actual design. Joe and I have discussed the design and how we were going to change it. If Joe would like to elaborate on that, I'll give him the floor if he wants to do that. Would you like to do that, Joe?
I can't at the moment.
Okay.
Give me 10 minutes or so
Okay.
if you want to. I'll raise hand when I'm ready.
Okay. So with that, basically just showing you here, 500 cards, the cost would be $49.83. Basically, just briefly, we put the Kentucky State Assembly logo on the front versus the PKTF logo, and then you have the little QR reader, which will pull up all the information on the front. That information will be specifically for the Kentucky State Assembly. There will still be the PKTF there on the back and that contact. My name and the militia coordinator position would be on there with the email, but we decided to leave Joe's name and the actual phone number. And if that sounds a little confusing, I was just kind of wondering about how we would facilitate with the calls and everything, and just trying to work through this. So this is kind of a work in progress. But if everyone is in agreement with that, then that's what we're going to look to try to pursue. So if I can get to the point where Joe can maybe share some of that information, then maybe we can speak on that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, as far as the contact card goes, what we're conceptualizing here, everybody, is a hybrid between the Peacekeeping Task Force and what it's able to offer all states through their assembly militia. And it's a perfect home. It's the two efforts walk hand in hand, whereby the state sponsor the county sovereignty and their responsibility to assist the state, particularly the state borders, and that whole effort. But it's part of the federation to assist the states sponsoring the counties. So again, back to that symbiotic relationship. Now, as far as the handout, which is actually a business card, the hybrid portion is that what the Peacekeeping Task Force Assembly liaisons will be carrying from their office to and from their office, and as they collaborate with your local and state law enforcement, investigators, bureaus, anything of the like, state of state, attorney general, that clan, union representatives, union presidents, and all that. That is the same business card that I have. What we're offering the all state assembly militia is a contact card, a hybrid, where the Peacekeeping Task Force liaison office is present, along with the phone contact and the logo, the Federation approved logo. Now, the approved Kentucky Assembly seal is actually modified. We had a bit of forward thinking on that because as a part of its official seal, it's designed precisely as it is and approved and so on, and it's on letterhead. But what the Peacekeeping Task Force has as part of its handout and its outreach, we modify the state logo just to, again, respect the original design of the seals and whatnot. But yeah, as what you're mentioning here, it's an inversion. If you can see the card, it's different. You guys can have a better perspective on what we're talking about here. But you do have that, Todd, right? The replay of the kind of the round table we were talking, where we were making that determination. Yeah.
I was going to see if I can pull that up.
And just share it with everybody, because I know you're probably going to appeal to for a bottom line at some point. Now, if you do, if that's part of the, I don't know. But anyway, as far as the cost, how it's carried or wherever the case may be, what the Peacekeeping Task Force is offering is an opportunity to carry any extra cost over base, simply because that's, we want to be able to provide that. So again, if for another state, such as Arizona, which is also coming online with their office location, or any other state outside Kentucky for that matter. But if the cost for that same handout, that same card that we're referring to, is any more than $50, let's say it's $100 or what, the Peacekeeping Task Force is going to help with any offset, because the purchase that we're asked, or that was being described here, is for 500 handouts that the Assembly militia leaders, coordinators, co-coordinators, commanders will hand out as part of their outreach, their cursory outreach. Nothing exhausting, nothing that takes that lingering conversations. Just that's how we're encouraging people to use business cards. The business card is to be able to make that solid contact after a 5-minute conversation or a 10-minute conversation. But the cost for it is 500 cards, front and back, bleed proof, beveled edges, really super nice card, super nice quality, the best I've ever seen. Vector files, front and back, quick reference codes, one for all your contact information digitally inserted into the device that scanned it, as well as the Peacekeeping Task Force link tree, just as an added consolation to further out, build out that peacekeeping presence. So it's part of the business card. But phone conversation or phone contact, our receptionist service is also with that purchase. If the GA decides to run that through Treasury and get that approved, and the meeting location as well. That's also a PKTF purchase. All we're asking for, of course, by all state assemblies, is any support that they can in the future and all that other good stuff. Give us a good rating at the end of each fiscal year, so we can get a funding for the next year and all that good stuff. Anyway, I didn't want to go too far there, Todd. Sorry, but that's what I had regarding the business card.
Oh, you're fine, Joe.
This is Chris on Marion, Maya.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Would it be appropriate to move the floor to go ahead with the purchase of these business cards?
Sure, if everybody's got a good general understanding of what is being asked, you know what I mean? Everybody knows what the business cards are being used for, that stuff, we can most certainly move the floor. It would be a practice run because we've never asked anything from a treasury before. Just keep that in mind. But
okay,
now's
all
the
right.
right
I'd like to move the floor to go ahead with the purchase of the initial 500 business cards for the Assembly Militia.
Sean on Pulaski seconds that move.
All right. So we got our first move by Chris Kelty on Marion. It was been seconded, but before Boyce, I've got your second, Sean Warwick on Pulaski. Before we go through with that second, is there anybody that has any questions or comments about the move that has just been made for clarification?
I believe, because I've been in the militia meetings about it, it's gonna have Todd's name on it, correct? Like, I think people need to know whose name's gonna be on it and that kind of thing.
Can I
Absolutely.
share just the part of this video that Joe and I discussed, maybe to make it a little more understandable for the card?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can swing it on your end as far as sharing it. Now, a brief explanation of how to share a video. If you're on 2 different devices, if you're sharing on one and speaking on another, then you'd have to work your audio. But I only see you on here one time, so you should be able to start the video where you want to, pick it, screen share it, and then start it. Make sure your speakers are on. Make sure your audio's on. I yield.
Okay, I'm going
Is
to try this
everybody good?
now.
Everybody good with that for a brief explanation of what we're moving the floor to do?
I am.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Let's see. Let's see.
Hey, while he's bringing that up, just a brief explanation of what's getting ready to come up in the chat. I'm sharing the Kentucky podcast with Tammy Healy. And then when you get that channel, save that channel in your bookmarks if you're interested to hearing other states. It's on a BitChute channel. And here's the channel coming in to the chat. How you?
So I do have one question.
Yeah.
Can you share from an email the video? Because it's not wanting to do that.
What video are you wanting to try and pull up?
It's the one that where it's like a conference call that Joe and I did.
Is it on our Zoom platform? Would I have a record of it?
No.
Okay, then I wouldn't be able to help. You're trying to share it from an email. You'd have to open it up in your browser.
Yeah, I had it opened up and then it closed out. That's why I was wondering if there's anything specific on that.
As far as I know, if anybody else can help, but as far as I know, you'd have to open it up in your browser like you're getting ready to watch it. Stop it, screen share it, and then try and play it again.
Okay. So I guess just for time's sake, because I know we've been, how important is it for everybody to actually see this? Because I don't care if we can get it done, but at the same time, I don't want to keep dragging this out so we can move on. If anybody,
here's a general suggestion. If it doesn't have to be done tonight, at your all's meeting tomorrow, come up with a little better proof of concept for everybody that we can share. And then we can share that. And at the next General Assembly meeting, we can make this move.
okay.
Does that sound good?
Let's just do that for the sake of time and moving on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Is that good?
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
go back to our agenda.
Can with the cards only being in Todd's name, like I vow for it, just because I think it's something that we need to get done. We're pushing it back another month to get cards where you could be handing them out for our camping, and our different stuff that you're planning on doing. I don't know how you personally feel, but like I'm not personally going to have the cards, you will, so I'm perfectly fine with it.
Well, we have to have a 2/3 majority to be perfectly fine with it. So for the sake of everybody's benefit, since we're all here together, let's just have the militia come up with a better proof of concept to pitch to the people. I think that's fair to everybody. So
I
is that
agree.
good, Todd?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
So, can y'all see this? Can't see the screen, can you? Okay, hold on. Okay, this is what I'm trying to get back to. Let's move forward. We'll work on that tomorrow evening as far as the cards, and then we'll get a better presentation so that everybody will be on board with all of that. So
May I,
the
Todd?
Pardon me?
This is Anita on Meade. May I?
Yes.
I kind of agree with Laura. Everything keeps getting pushed back. Can we just go take a survey, a show of hands to see if everybody's comfortable with going ahead and putting the money out for the cards? Can we just do that and then have a vote on it?
I'm fine with it. I just don't want nobody to say, well, if they're not in agreement and just say, well, we're going to put out from something we don't know. But if anybody's ever seen Joe's card,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's all about outreach, and I think all of us are eager to do outreach. I just think it's be a good idea just to go ahead and, if everybody's comfortable on the call tonight without having to see the actual card.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. Again, we had to have 2/3. So if 2/3
Right.
of the people,
Yeah, sorry for interruption. If you get 2/3 tonight, if ever, there's the opportunity to abstain. There's the opportunity to not to say a nay for everybody. So, is there
So
any
just
more?
business cards with your information on it. It's not like anybody else has to have their information on it. So
Right.
it's just, like I said, it's an outreach.
So is
Yes.
there any more? Thank you, Anita, for that.
So I see Bob and Sean's got their hand up. Bob, you were up first.
Yeah, I'm on the assembly call with the militia, and we talked about this extensively. And to me, it's a no-brainer. This is the way to get our information out and get into people's hands. And I don't believe waiting a month is going to solve anything. I think it's something that we need to do, and we need to do as quick as possible. That's my point. Anyway, I yield.
Thanks, Bob. Sean?
Yeah, Sean Pulaski here. I'm in agreement. We our better judgment is given to you on the design of that card, and we can always change for the next round when we want to order more cards. We could come up with a different idea, but I'm in full favor of that. So thank you. I yield.
Okay, with that, not seeing any other hands unless I'm missing somebody, then I'm going to make the move that we go ahead and move the floor to make a vote on this tonight.
I second.
Who seconded?
Who was the second?
Who was the second?
Bob.
Okay, so we're in a business meeting. So Bob on Jefferson seconds. Is there anybody that has any other comments or questions? Okay, so we have 18 people. 2/3 would be 12 again.
Yes.
Is there any? I'm going to abstain from this. Justin on Lincoln County, I abstain.
Johan Spencer abstain.
Is there any other abstains?
Jamie on Spencer, I abstain.
There's no proof of concept, so I abstain. That's down to 15. Any more abstains? Belinda abstains in the chat. That's 4 abstains out of 18.
Just Ray on Oldham, I abstain.
Down to 13. Any more abstains?
What's abstain? I'm sorry.
Means you don't have a yay or a nay. It pretty much means you don't have enough information to be able to make the proper self-governing individual decision. And that's what we're all about. Everybody's able to voice their opinion. So your options are abstain, nay, or yay.
Oh, in that case, if it's for the cards, I do yay.
Second, is there any more abstains? Okay, is there any nays? Okay, at this time, out of 13, all in favor. If you've abstained or if you've nayed, you do not raise your hand. At this time, all in favor, raise your hand. Hold on just a second. Let me clear this out.
We went down to 17 too.
I beg your pardon, Laura. There's 4 abstains. That drops down to 13 people that are going to put a yay or a nay vote in. That's what I'm tracking. Okay. So at this time, all the nays hands are in the air. There's 9 out of 13. I beg your pardon. There's 7.
I thought there were yay hands in the air, not nay hands.
please let me do this, Laura, without any confusion, please. I just asked for abstains. There were 4 abstains. There's 17 people on the call. That drops it down to 13 men and women that are going to cast a nay or a yay. I asked for a nay. There were none. Now I'm asking for yays. So everybody that is a yay, please put your hand up again. Thank you. I have 8 out of 13. That's is that 2/3?
Somebody put something in the chat too.
Down to 7. Down to 7 yays. Seven out of 13. Is that 2/3? Sorry for my ignorance on it. I believe it is. Somebody help me out. Thank you. So that is approved. So now I guess the process is for the militia to establish some type of treasury representative to reach out to the treasury on the assembly to request the amount necessary. And so that would be Belinda. And then you all would handle getting everything ordered and look forward to seeing it next month.
Good job, GA.
Way to work it out, y'all. Way to work it out. Appreciate everybody's input.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
I would like to, if people want to see the cards, they could watch the recordings if that would help them some.
Outstanding idea.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to pull that up just for whatever reason, and it's just for time constraints. I just thought we would go that direction. So to continue to move forward, so what we have been working on is trying to come up with a training day. And so we've discussed the ideas to do a training day at Burnham Forest, where we would, and some of the ideas we talked about was communications, which is very important thing that we're working on right now. And I was going to ask Tom, who's the ham operator expert that you were talking about before?
I'm not sure, Todd, that was on that agenda, agenda rough that Belinda had printed out. Do you have any information on that?
This is Belinda on Bullet.
Yes,
That's from Ohio's agenda. It's one that I just put out there. It was just sharing their information that they're currently providing people. So that the links that are there, but the training is something that we need to come up with on our own unless they share it with us.
Okay. Thank you. So from that, so back to that. So communications is one of the first and foremost things. Additionally, we talked about, Chris and I have been discussing, and Chris can add in here some of the things if I've missed something, because I just put a few of the ideas in here. Some people have some skills with herbal remedies. I think Justin mentioned that. There's also water filtration, foraging, map reading. Chris, you have anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to see some first aid and CPR, that type of stuff being learned and taught.
Okay. Anything else? I know we discussed several things. I just try to put a few of those on here when I was doing this.
So much in the last few weeks. Can't really come up with anything else off the top of my head. I'm sure it'll hit me just as soon as I stop talking, but my apologies.
So, okay, that's fine. Laura?
We were going to discuss with Nick about the generator, and he's on tonight, or he was.
So
that needs to be discussed. I beg your pardon. That needs to be discussed on a militia call. We're trying to get through a General Assembly business meeting. Not to be rude. That can be discussed. Okay.
So going to that, so quickly on that, basically what we're wanting to do is just have a day that we can have people come, people that maybe have those skills to be able to share with others so that they can learn. The other thing is camping outings, so we can actually put some of these skills into practice and also get to know each other a little bit better. And we may end up having to do that like regionally because of where everybody's located. It may be hard to just get everybody together in one particular area. With that, the militia play links YouTube is here, and you can look at that, and then I yield because that's all I have as far as the report.
Todd, may I? This is Justin on Lincoln County.
Yes.
From Lincoln County, I'm going to request from the Assembly Militia that they work on some type of mission statement. So you can find an example of a mission statement at the beginning of our agenda. It does not have to be paragraph upon paragraph upon paragraph, but that's something that I feel you all could work on. Give it to the IT committee, which is me basically until we get Ashley on board. And I will just copy and paste it to your militia pillar tab on the website. Now, if you'll stop screen sharing real quick, I've got it up. Y'all, the website is a work in progress and it is being worked on. So I encourage everybody to keep up with our website. And briefly, I'll show you the new part to navigate it, so that you all can find the information on the business card. That's why I'm doing this, to help y'all find. If you go to the 4 pillars here, and he shared the link to the playlist, but also not just militia, but you can go to Jural, you can go to militia, Jural, and General Assembly, and there's a playlist at every call, most recent calls for those pillars. I yield. Thank you. Just want to reiterate the mission statement, and I would request that you all within your meetings, along with discussion of generators and business cards and stuff like this, when I review your calls, I hear you asking for space on the IT website. So I'm establishing how to get that established. Make it part of your discussions. I recommend you make it part of your discussions on your meetings. Have somebody step up that's good scribe, generate it, get it to me, and I'll get it populated on your tab right here on our website. I yield.
All right, thanks. Can someone put that agenda back up, please, that current agenda?
Coming up now.
Do you want that one that I sent? That's the latest.
Is that what's up now?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks, Todd. Great job. Glad to have you on board as our militia coordinator. All right, Belinda, would you like to have the floor for the treasury report, please? You.
Hi, this is Belinda on Bullet. Sorry, my voice. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sick, but it's just going in and out. But our current square count is 426, 34. I have 250 cash on hand. Justin has the 2028-16. And then we have, it's a total of 2779.47. And we have a 10 ounce bar of silver. That's really all I got on that. Are you?
All right, thanks, Belinda. Take care of yourself and get your voice back to good health. Moving on, IT Tech Education Committee report. Ashley, would you like to have the floor? Are you?
Yeah, this is Ashley Ungared. We just got back on vacation, so I have received Justin's email with login credentials and a new IT email. We'll be checking those out this week. I haven't had a chance to. Our internet's been in and out, so I'm going to be working on that coming up this week. I yield.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Litigation Committee report. Laura, would would you like to have the floor? I yield.
Yes, I would like just to do a brainstorming litigation committee meeting. When a date would work for people to be there to brainstorm what they've done on certain things. I'd also like to go over the notice that we've been working in Christie's litigation meetings. That's the criminal information notice of liability. Just to go over that piece of document because it's kind of a self-executing document and they contract with you through it and it lists Anna's articles. So I would like a time. I did send it to the coordinators, I believe, and possibly Justin that we've been working on. So I would just like a time that's good for people to come and brainstorm. I don't want to set up a meeting and only one or two people be there. So if we can achieve that, if there's a date that would work for people, I'm pretty much free all the time. I yield.
Okay, thanks. So if you'd like to be part of a litigation committee brainstorm, please email Laura. Thanks, Laura. General Assembly Committee report. That's me. Two meetings ago, we nominated 3 positions. We nominated Todd and Bob as justice, sheriff Nick and Todd, and coroner Ann and Laura. In the process of developing the election process, there's going to be training on that, so I'm trying to get down that. Go ahead, Laura. Sorry.
I was just wondering, Duran had said that he wanted to do the sheriff on Jefferson County, and I was just wondering if he had reached out to you because I know he's been busy working.
I'll reach out to Duran about that. And the coroner position was nominated Ann and Laura. So we have several more positions to fill. Working on the election process. I'm going to educate the General Assembly on the proper election process. At our last meeting, we had an election letter from Anita. Anita, thanks. Great job putting the election letter together. I'm going to attempt to put that in the chat.
Tom, this is Belinda. It was also
Belinda.
attached to the agenda when I sent them out.
Okay, great. So that's good.
Sean has his hand up.
Go ahead, Sean.
Like if somebody could send me some links. It's Sean on Plasky. I probably want to look into being a justice. So if somebody send me that right link, get in there. I want to look around on that one probably. And I might go for the looking at a county seat, you know, more of a local instead of a state. So I really need to start working on that. They steer me in the right direction where I can find all that information I need. Just somebody give me a hand. Thank you.
Most of that information is probably going to be, at least right now, in the Drill Assembly Handbook. You can find that on the TASA website, as well as Anna's website. So a lot of that information is
Okay.
in there.
Thank you, Tom. I saw there was information there, and I just didn't know if there was other that needed to go with it. I'll just start right there, and I'll just get busy with it. Thank you.
Yeah, if anyone knows anywhere else to look for that information, then please put it in the chat or raise your hand.
Tom, there's 3 hands up.
Let's see who's first.
Anita Mead.
Go ahead, Anita.
Yes, I just wanted to tell you that that letter is just preliminary. I'll work on it some more and try to get some more information in it. But the letter for all of you that are wanting to be nominated, That's what the letter is all about. It's asking for nominations for those positions. So it will be put out through your emails and you all can nominate through that. I yield.
Thanks, Anita. Nice job on that letter. Nick and Ashley, your hands raised.
Yes, Nick on Garrett. Belinda had pointed out to me that you can't hold a sheriff's position and also international pillar position at the same time. So I just want to put on the record that I'm withdrawing my interest temporarily for the international pillar, and I'm focused on the sheriff's position. I yield.
May I speak to that, please?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I have just a question first. Would your pillar be interested in doing mock trials until we get elections established to actually get people voted in? Because keep in mind, people, just because in this phase of assembling, we step up to volunteer, yes, where it's needed, but for it to officially account, myself included, it has to be an official public election, just like Tom's describing on educating on. So at this time, my question is, are we establishing roles to as dual purpose so that people that are stepping up for these roles are you stepping up in a mock trial to be able to be available for a mock trial type thing? Other states are doing that. There is precedent for it. So we could find information. Ohio is in doing that. They just went through a criminal mock trial. Now they're in a civil mock trial. Okay. So with none of us doing this before, I believe we need to set precedent before we actually set in stone, so we can learn and we won't be caught with our pants down. Of course, sometimes that will. Now on Nick, thank you for expressing that. I'll let for the vetting committee report to do that, but I apologize. I was getting ready to cross my lane. So that's all I have. Just my question to the General Assembly would be mock trials, taking people's. I know that there was a woman that recently status corrected that has an awesome opportunity for your pillar to work on. That's Ariana. So if you want to reach out to her, I can get you her information. But she has been trespassed on. She has a perfect situation. Laura Domick, Bob Domick, they have a perfect mock trial situation. Keep in mind, all the recordings are public. So if you agree to doing a mock trial on your situation, you're tainting your jury pool tremendously. So when you're doing your mock trials, I would just suggest taking Laura's name and changing it from Laura to Tammy, right? I wouldn't maybe let Laura play the victim. Let Laura be litigate or something to do with the coroner or something. You see what I'm saying? Just a suggestion from what I've seen from other assemblies. So I'll yield on my other comment and wait on the vetting committee report. I yield. Thank you.
On that mock trial, are you suggesting we do a mock trial with our nominated positions before we hold the elections, or hold elections and then do a mock trial?
Yeah, I mean, why would you nominate yourself for a position expecting to do it without having any training? Right now, it's a perfect opportunity for us to sit down and go through it. Alaska, the way Alaska did it is they went through 1 week, they established roles, justices, clerks, sheriffs, bondsmen, bailiffs. They got that established. A week later, everybody researches that role, not unicorns and trusts and bonds, a sheriff's role, a court clerk role for a week. And you come back the following week and you start the mock trial as that role. Does that make sense? So
yeah,
that
makes sense.
And then you'll be the perfect candidate among many other candidates by the time we perfect our public elections. And then keep in mind, just right out this stage, yes, thank you very much for going through the vetting process. I know it's a pain in the butt. And thank you for offering your time to be able to play mock trial and stuff like that. But we've got to crawl before we can run, and that's in everything we do. That's not just General Assembly. That's, if we want to be honest, that's in everything we do. To come into this with that a different expectation than you would at any other thing is totally unreality. So mock trials make the most sense. And if we can't actually seat people in those, because we have to have the Federation's authority or approval, whether you like it or not. They're the summoning authority. Why? Because there's three ways we can summon the states back into assembly. There has to be a quorum of 9 states. I'm going through the checklist. The first one, not in any order. You have to be a quorum of 9 states to call the states back to assembly. There's only one state assembly that I know of, and it's a district assembly, and that's Texas. So we have to have 9. We don't have that. We have to have a president of the real American to call the assemblies back. We don't have that. What we're working on is our hereditary head of state and all the other members of the Federation that have lineages of family going back being hounded. Because us in the 21st century, we have the luxury of not being chased down after we leave our meetings. So, with that being said, whether you like Honor or not, she is the fiduciary, and her team will come into our state when we're ready. We don't go and ask her, Anna, are we ready? We go to her and we tell her we're ready, and we can't do that until we practice. So, sorry for drawing it out. I yield.
No, thanks for that, Justin. I think I think we talked about it in our last meeting. That's a definite that we have to have. We have to know what we're doing before we go live. We're only going to have one chance to make a good impression, so we're going to have to get it right. Anita, your hand's raised.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, people that are on committees right now are, you don't have to step down from your committee right now if you want to be elected to one of the state positions. I mean, it's going to take a while to get this election up and able to run. So at the same time, we need to be working on the other committees also. I mean, if you want to try for one of the office positions, I mean, like Justin was saying, we're going to have, mock trials to get everybody used to position. I mean, it's going to take a while. So I just want to ask everybody to stay in the positions that they're on right now and, go forward. And if you do get elected to a position, then you can hopefully have somebody in second command to take over that position. So I yield.
That's a good point. Belinda?
Sorry, my voice seems to be working a little bit better now. So I just wanted to let you all know that Ariana Scott is actually on the call. She was able to join us. So welcome. That's the first thing. And if she would like to participate in any kind of the mock trial situations, who would she contact? And can you all provide that in the chat for her? With that, I yield.
Yeah, she can reach out to me, and I'll put my email in the chat. Laura?
Yes. So my concern with the mock trials is maybe we need to do them on a Sunday and have the whole General Assembly taking part in them, because our General Assembly meetings are not having enough people to play all the roles in a mock trial, if that makes sense. But when we're only having 4 or 5, maybe 6 people on a General Assembly meeting, we don't even have the people to play all the roles. So maybe if we could set up a mock trial for all General Assembly members on one particular date of the month, and do it on that, maybe outside of our General Assembly meetings when other people could attend. Because like you said before, Tom, maybe some people don't attend because it's a Sunday, or what have you, but I just don't know how we're going to do mock trials with 4 or 5 people in our meeting. I yield.
No, that's correct. But like Justin said, we're walking at this stage. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we can fill all those roles via nomination, have them all nominated. Once we have everyone who's raised his hand to a role, bondsmen, court clerks, etc., we've got everybody accounted for, then we can start the process of having a mock trial. But there's no point in even planning a mock trial until we've got all the roles accounted for. Anita?
Yes, that's just what I was going to say. I mean, once we get to that position, we can send out letters and ask for participants and get it all together. I mean, it's kind of up in the air right now, but it's something we just have to work on through our committee meetings. So I yield.
And if there's someone who wants to be part of the General Assembly and wants to fill one of these roles, email me, let me know. If you can't be at the Sunday meeting, if that's not convenient for you, then let me know and I'll figure out a way to funnel the information to you so we can move on and get you nominated. You don't have to be there to be nominated. I can nominate you and we'll move on from there. Sean?
Yeah, Sean on Pulaski. Just go ahead and put me down there somewhere in that mess to be in that mock trial. I'd really give you a run for the money. I know you're ready for me to play that role, so I'm sure there's been. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that know about it. So yeah, give me a run on that, would you please?
I think that's precisely the point. My point I'm getting ready to make, if I may, I had my hand raised. Not only do you need members of your courts, but you also need Op4. Tom, you know what Op4 is? That's opposition. So also on Alaska, they had a police officer. Their mock trial was a driver's license case. So we don't need individual cases. We've all been there. We've all got a ticket. So it's as simple as that. And me being a Marshal-At-Arms, I could volunteer to be that police officer in your all's mock trials.
Me too.
Yeah, right. I'll be Op4. And Sean, Op4 again, to reiterate, is opposition. Okay. And so I'll be opposition. I'll be a police officer. I'll write my own script. That's what this is. If you take a position, you write your own script based off of your research on how our courts run. And then you bring it to our mock trial. And then after our mock trial, hopefully we can get together by campfire and talk about it and talk about what we can do better and what we can do different. Again, that's after action review. So it's going to take. This ain't going to happen in a month, y'all. Shit, hard. We got to put our first foot forward. And so, John, my suggestion, you'd make a perfect opposition. That's my comment. I yield.
All right, well, I'm going to put the positions that we need filled in the chat. And I want to take a look, see if anything is interesting. And
Ari has her hand up.
go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to get on and say hello and also let you know that in the email that I sent, I let you know that I have body camera footage. So I'm willing to be in the mock trial and we can also use that to kind of go over as well.
I just keep in mind, Aria, we appreciate that offer, but I would not, if you're going to do that, you're tainting your jury pool. And with all love and consideration possible, my next comment is, I hate what you're going through. I have a little bit of information of what you're going through. That's a horrible situation. But we have to be careful when we're setting this up. We have to be careful not to give the corporation any leverage against you to make you seem like you're something. We don't want to be able to use our mock trial for them to capitulate you down to a sovereign citizen by proof. It's our proof. It's our intellectual knowledge, our intellectual properties that we're putting together. I hope this makes sense because it's from a security standpoint that I'm coming from. But I'm saying it from experience. I have seen people go out and get caught up by saying the wrong things. And offline, I can speak to you to this to help out with your personal situation. But I would just be leery of, Tom and everybody in the General Assembly. And hopefully once I step out into the Continental Marshal's role, I could help participate in that a little bit more as helping with these. But I would just caution everybody not to use, maybe go over the recordings to be able to use as people playing a role, like a police officer, or using it as evidence to create fake, fictitious people. So saying not using you, so you use the video and you create a woman that's being harassed, right?
Okay.
Then bring that to the mock trial. Nothing says that you and Laura and everybody can't get together and go over that recording to have a better understanding of how to play that out in a mock trial, right? To give our justices better training, to give the jury better training, everything. We could greatly benefit from what you're offering. Well, we just got to be cautious because everybody's self-governing. That is at a different level to when we come to the Kentucky Assembly and any other state assembly. The eyes are upon us. And that's not to strike fear in anybody's heart. That's to encourage everybody because everyone is interested, whether they want to tell you to your face or not, is interested to what we are doing. We being us and the other 49 states that assembled. It's eyes of interest. It's eyes of intrigue. It's eyes of wanting to cut us down because they know that we are the key. Let them look. Hopefully they'll change their status and join us. But thank you for that time, hopefully to explain that. So I didn't mean to cut it into your time either, Ari. Welcome home.
Thank you so much. No worries. I just wanted to, be willing to help in any way that I possibly could.
Yeah, thanks for that, Ari. I would imagine that footage, even if you have it, probably belongs to the de facto at some point, or they have rights to it. I would probably whitewash it, make your own, or use the lessons learned and present those from that video. But
Exactly. Thank you, Tom, for helping me reiterate that point. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Anita, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I was just going to say, when we do these mock court cases, we can always pull up old common law court cases and then just give the positions out to people that want to participate in the mock trial. That way there's no evidence on these other cases to be out there. So, there's all kinds of court cases that we can act out. I yield.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay, moving on. I put 3 things in the chat. I put the election letter that Anita's working on. I put the membership agreement for the General Assembly, as well as the mission statement for the General Assembly. And on those last 2, just keep in mind, those are straight cut and paste from the General Assembly handbook from what Anna had in there. I just cut and paste Wisconsin for Kentucky, or Kentucky for Wisconsin. And so if you have a chance, take a look at those, see if there's anything that stands out as unusual or that we need to fine tune for Kentucky. The last thing I wanted to talk about was another Treasury note. And I didn't want to do anything on it tonight, but the common law, the Excellence of Common Law book. It's my opinion that anyone who's going to be part of a General Assembly on a jury has to be almost an expert in common law. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody, but if we're gonna do this, and if we're gonna be competent and look good to the rest of the Federation and have any kind of standing and confidence in what we're doing, we have to know what we're doing. We have to know the common law. There's several ways to skin the cat, I suppose, but that book is $80. And if we're all going to raise our hand and say we're willing to be on the jury, then we have to have some method of educating ourselves. And what I'd like to start doing with our General Assembly meetings is having a 20-minute session on a chapter and just kind of review it. But that's the group effort. The individual effort has to be involved with something like that book. So just something to chew on for the next meeting. Maybe we'll bring it up to the floor for a vote to, if you want to raise your hand and be a juror and you'd like a copy of the book and you can't afford it because it is $80. And I think the assembly should maybe be a part of paying for that. But just something to think on. Go ahead, Justin.
I just want to key in on that point you just made, because it's not their law that we're studying. It's law that we don't know. And it's not, forgive me for saying this, and it's on recording. I know what I'm saying. It's not litigation meetings talking about driver's license cases, registration cases, and how to get out of them. It's litigation meetings on common law, our law. It's time spent on learning our law. I yield.
Absolutely, and none of us know it, unfortunately. The Bar Association has done a great job of keeping it in their own schoolyard.
Exactly.
So we got a lot of road to track down. Sean?
Yeah, Sean Pulaski. I'd really like to be involved in that somehow, some way. I really need to get in there because I have a lot of pertinent information that I'm pretty sure is right in that book, and familiar with quite a bit of stuff. So I really somehow need to get in here and see if I can help with some education too, and knowledge of what I've had experience with, and by exercising my God-given rights and using the common law as my defense, and making it work. So somehow I need to get in here and share my knowledge. I don't know where, when, how, or why, but the next time you get something that's coming up, just please give me a message or something so I can come and attend that. I need to share my knowledge. Thank you. I yield.
I just put the link for everybody to the next meeting in the chat.
Thanks, Justin. I was just about to say, hey, the next General Assembly meeting is this coming Sunday at 6 o'clock. And that's the floor for that, Sean. So we welcome you there.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And Justin, if you can remind me, send me that link in my email, please.
Thank you.
I yield.
Yep, I'll do it, and I'll make sure Tom has your email too, so he can add it to his email chain of information.
Thank you very much.
Laura?
I just wanted to go to how you were talking about getting the common law books for the assembly, because I think from my point, like, we don't really have the money to spend $80, $90 on a book right now. And if we could, I know we don't have a librarian, but if we could possibly buy some common law books and do like we would if we were checking them out from a library, keep them in mint condition so that the people following us have those books also, because I do think it's something that we're going to need as a General Assembly. And I yield with that.
Yeah, and you don't have to spend $80 on this book. There are, like I said, there's other ways to do this. Michelle Ford does a common law class. I think it's on Thursday. The Iowa Assembly, Justin, if you might be able to pull up that link to the gal who does the training on Iowa. She's basically reading word for word through the common law book. So, and I Google searched common law. There are YouTube channels on the common law. So there's other ways to get educated without having to buy the book. Ray, it's on the chat. Is this the Black's Law Dictionary? No, this is a book called The Excellence of Common Law. It's by a guy named Brent Allen Winters. You can Google his name, or The Excellence of Common Law, and he's got a study guide that goes with it. He does have an e-book for $40 if you want to download it on your computer. But there are other ways of and thanks for posting that, Justin. So the woman on Iowa who's doing the training is really good. So there are other ways of doing it. Anita?
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, you said a lot of what I was going to say, because I knew there was audios out there on that book, but also the common law goes by the Bouvier Law Dictionary. So when people know that, and there's, just reading through the common law, there's so much legal ease that the words are, you just have to learn to speak the language to go into a court case. And I'm sure Sean knows about all the differences in the words and everything, but it's a lot to study. It's a lot for all of us to study. I yield.
Thanks, Anita. You're correct. I heard somebody say that the Black's Law Dictionary is for the de facto for civil law, because black is the color of the dead. That's why judges wear black robes, or Bouvier's is for common law. Belinda?
Yes, so I have purchased The Excellence of Common Law, and I've also purchased the Bouvier law books. I'm sorry, my voice keeps going in and out. I apologize. But I also loan out my books for people when you need them. I mean, I have probably several of them loaned out at the moment. But there is also another book called The Common Law by Oliver Wendell Holmes. It's pretty much the same person, I believe. I have The Excellence of Common Law as well. But The Common Law, it's a smaller book. It's not as thick, but it also goes over a lot of common law. And it's on Amazon for like maybe $21, something like that. And if you get a paperback one, I've seen them as low as $10. So a lot of these books, I do try to purchase them, but I go to these bookstores and buy a lot of stuff secondhand. I go to Goodwill stores and get a lot of them there. There is a lot of books. If you see an old bookstore of any kind, or even a record store, they usually have these old books. And if you can just rummage through those, sometimes they have them in a dollar bin. Anything on history related to common law, believe me, there's a lot of it that's out there that you can find. Those are excellent books, because again, if we start doing these mock trials, it'll also help us and prepare us. And Anna also has a Disclosure 101 book that is out there, and I want to say that's like $7. If you go out to the TASA website and go to the link tree, it's called I think it's the store, or maybe a bookstore link. Justin, you may have that, but it's on the link tree on the TASA website. And some of those books are out there. You can pick them up for a little bit of nothing. And then the ones that are a little more expensive, if everybody is willing to promise to take care of books, I don't mind loaning out my books, especially when you've got something going on, because it is something that's very important, and we do need to make sure everybody is aware. I've even thought about maybe scanning some of the pages. I mean, it's going to take a while, but if we can scan some of these pages and just maybe be able to send it out a PDF file versus, everybody buying a book. Like, I'm willing to do whatever we can to get our knowledge across our assembly. And with that, I yield.
Thanks, Belinda. Sean?
Sean on Pulaski, I wanted to reiterate on what Anita was saying. Basically, it's in the wording. It's all at how the language is spoken. And that's really, truly all it is. And once you realize how to speak that language, then there's no speaking any other way. So once you get into that common law, and really what it boils down to is it doesn't matter what laws they are, as long as it doesn't interfere with a man's rights. So basically, you can have all the guidelines you want, but if you're interfering with somebody, they don't mean anything. So what we all have to do is realize our rights and how to speak on our behalf with that language. And that's what it's about, is the wording. She's right. So anybody that wants to hear that language, I can share some of that language and knowledge with them, and they can see what the distinguishment is between the two. And I have that knack for that. So that is one of the strong points for me, is to be able to write and explain in simple terms. So I yield that back. Thank you.
You have to speak as a living man and woman, not a dead person.
Yeah. Ray, did you have something to add?
I did not.
Okay. All right. Oliver Wendell Holmes, by the way, was an associate justice of the Supreme Court in 1902. So, thanks, Belinda. With that, anything else for the General Assembly? Any other questions, comments? Meeting's Sunday at 6. The link is in the chat, and I'll resend it to everyone as we get closer to the weekend. Moving on, recording secretary report. Who wants the floor? I yield.
There's not much of an update on that. I know that the LRO is back up and going. I know we had some issues in the past, and there has been things that's been moved around as far as like where like the common carry is now underneath notices, those are your fee schedules. And then we have, hold on just a second. But everything is pretty much there. It's just, there's a new place for it. Baby deeds are now underneath the private section of the notices. And then again, like Justin was saying earlier, anything that needs to be recorded, if you can put it all in a PDF document and send that to me, I'll get that printed out, get it stamped, and then get it reloaded. It's fairly simple and easy. It's just that I have to get them printed out. If you know anyone who needs recording, please have them reach out to me. My email is in there. And I've also put David's in there as well. And of course, you still have Justin who does it as well. But I've put mine and David's in there because we pretty much the points of contact right now for recording. But if you all have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'm also the secretary. I'll go ahead and let you know that piece too. There's no update there as well. But again, if you all have anything, just reach out. I'll be more than happy to help. With that, I yield.
Thanks, Belinda. Vetting report. Ray, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. We had 4 vetting requests since our last meeting, and that was Todd, Laura, Nick, and Ashley. We've completed all of those. Nick's was turned in today, except for Ashley. That's my fault that we haven't completed Ashley's. They went on vacation for a while, and they're back now. And I had a technical difficulty on my end, so now Ashley has all her paperwork, and we're working toward that goal. I think, Ashley, do you think we can get finished by the end of the week? Are you still on here?
Yeah, this is Ashley. Yeah, I'm gonna finish that up tonight and send it to you tomorrow.
Okay, because I'm gonna be out of town. That's the reason I asked from Saturday till next Friday. And I will be looking at emails, but I prefer not to. So I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I'll have it sent to you tomorrow.
Okay, but that's my fault that we're lacking on Ashley. So I'm taking full responsibility that I like to get them done before our next meeting, and that's my fault. So we're moving on though. We're doing good. As far as I think we were talking about, Nick, you're gonna go to got to be elected for the sheriff's office. So I just want to make sure. I know we talked about it a little bit last night. You're going to be the international business pillar coordinator, or?
No, after speaking to you, Ray, I spoke with Belinda, and I wasn't aware if you you can't do sheriff and international pillar. International pillar is one of the last pillars that needs to be stood. So that's why I was just going to focus on sheriff. And then later on, if the position comes back up, if it's not been filled yet, then I would take on the role of the international pillar coordinator. But like I said, for right now, I want to focus on being sheriff for Garrett County, and that would give me plenty of room to move later on if I needed to.
Okay. Do we need to have a vote for that, or?
I was nominated at a meeting, and then Belinda said it has to go on public. The way Ohio's doing it, supposedly we've been doing our elections a little wrong. I think the way Ohio's doing it, and we're going to try and follow that the way they're doing it. It's supposed to go on public notice for 2 weeks, and then we bring it to a vote. But I think I've already been nominated for that position for Garrett County.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I take notes. I wasn't taking notes yesterday, so thank you for that.
Hey, Ray, you care if I?
Yeah.
This is Justin on Lincoln. Hey, Nick, I want to congratulate you on getting vetted and being a member of the team. I would encourage you to do state sheriff for the state courts for the General Assembly. The role is the same pretty much. At the state level for the courts is more of a priority. So I would encourage that. And I also want to let you know publicly on record that I'm in Lincoln County, you're in Garrett County, and I'm extending my hand as being the only man on Lincoln County. Makes me a coordinator, makes me a General Assembly coordinator, makes me a militia coordinator, until I can get other men and women just like you on Garrett County populated and in the right direction of where their soul journey is going to take them. So congratulations on getting vetted and getting part of a member of the team. We all went through that same process. One more step that needs to happen is the Continental Marshals Service. You don't have to go through the vetting again. We need you to get that form filled out so you're on record with them. Because eventually what they're going to do is they're going to take everybody that's filled out that form and come to Kentucky and do the necessary interviews with the men and women that need to be vetted by the Continental Marshal Service. Not everybody needs to. The treasurer position, the Marshal-At-Arms positions, which it's already been vetted back in 2021. It hasn't changed hands. But anyway, I would encourage the state level, and then once you start getting populated at the county level. That's just based off knowledge, no opinion involved in that. It's just based on knowledge and research. Thank you. I yield.
And I think Nick's working, him and Chris are already doing it to make sure he gets Continental Marshal side put on that list. So
Chris had sent me the information for the Continental Marshals vetting, and I've got that all downloaded and ready to roll. I just got to upload, I guess, the clear checks findings, and that was my question. I didn't know if I had to go again to a different vetting process through the Continental Marshals services. So, okay, appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and if you do need anything else, just while you're doing that, if you're not sure about something or whatever, let Chris or I know. If we don't know, we'll find out the answer for you. So that'd be okay. No more questions on it. And moving on, and I would also like the words Laura used earlier about brainstorming. We are
A couple people have hands raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Belinda.
Let him speak real quick. I got your hands, please. Thank you.
But about brainstorming, we are growing, and I want some input from people in the assembly on what should we do. Should we do anything to improve the vetting process? Should we add things? Are we doing all right? I know we had a seminar or the SOP training here a month or two ago. And now that I've got Chris on board and people are coming in, I'd like to set up a meeting, just a brainstorm meeting one night, whenever the calendar's open, for maybe a couple of assembly members, as well as myself and Chris and Justin, to maybe come in and say, hey, Ray, I think maybe we should do, like Virginia, and have people tell us what their social media contacts are, or should we do references, or give me a reason, anything you think that might be helpful. And that's all it's about, to make us better. And then once we have that done, I kind of like Lisa Schaefer's, some of the stuff that she talked about. We don't need SOPs. We need implementation guidelines and procedures instead of standard operating procedures. So those are some changes I want to make in the SOP. But before I do that, I would like to kind of get a consensus from some of you all. It doesn't have to be everybody. It can be everybody. It doesn't matter. But it's your assembly. It's your vetting program. And it's my responsibility to try to make it better. So that's what I'd like to do. So if there's any volunteers, or I appreciate that. And Justin, if you can tell me when we can do that, that would be great. I know I'll be out of town from Saturday until next Friday. But if that's the dates we got to do it, I'll do it while I'm out of town.
Okay, I got it on my radar. Laura, your hand went down. Do you still, you have the floor if you want it.
It's not, I was just wondering when the sheriff position came into effect with our General Assembly just doing mock trials. When you say that he's being a state sheriff, would that go immediately into effect? Because I was wondering if he could possibly stand for the international while we're getting our General Assembly set up, if it's something that's going to be months down the line. That was my question. I yield.
That's an excellent question. If I may answer that real quick, yes, it would be an elected position that the Federation is requiring our courts to have. So not only would it be used for mock trial purpose, but mock trial purpose, the sheriff is at the end of the line. He's the one that takes our jury, because our jury runs our courts. He's the one that takes our jury's decision and implements that, whether it's go get them, serve this warrant, not a warrant, but you know where I'm going with it. So to answer your question, it's needed as a necessity for us to be able to say, yep, we've got that marked off for our court. We've got a sheriff. We've got a state sheriff. Now, keep in mind, at the state level, and this is for Nick, for your information too, as you make your best decision you can for you and your family. At the state level, the first 10 years of this, our assemblies are going to be in session. Our courts are going to be in session because there's 160 years of trespasses that we have to go back and jury nullify. But outside of those, the state sheriff, he's going to be busy. But there's going to be a lull where he can go back to his county and be on that county and take care of his stuff, whether it's being the Kent County Assembly, operate there. But to keep from rambling, to answer your question, it's needed for both purposes. He would not be able to function because nobody has any, even myself, has any authority. I beg your pardon. We all have standing and standing in provenance. But right now, if we go at it as individuals, not as from the General Assembly standpoint, and go at it from a General Assembly standpoint without the General Assembly chairman leading, then we run the risk of running into the Colorado 9 situation, all that kind of stuff. So we do it by the guidance of the Federation, and the guidance of the Federation is to have a state sheriff established in our state courts. And then we set up the county courts next. But we populate on the county level, but we have to do it backwards. We have to populate the state as we populate the county at the same time. I yield my hands.
Melinda, did you have something? No. All right, Justin, on the, are you going to put that on your radar for the meeting for vetting?
Yeah, that's why I kept my hand up. I will. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I can speak from personal experience. Let me turn my video on right here and just get this out of the way. I can speak from personal experience. I have a background just like everybody else. Okay. And I came into this thing in 2021 knowing my history and my baptism by fire. All right. And I raised my hand to publicly serve as a state Marshal-At-Arms on the state assembly, knowing full well, and went through a full background check through the Continental Marshal Service. And they've got guys on the Continental Marshal Service. That's what they do for a living. They look people up. I wasn't unaware of my situation. And the reason I'm saying this is because I do have some input in our vetting process. And it's going to be input into checking social media accounts because that's what they did on me. And you know what they did? They checked social media and then they checked my criminal record. You know what they did? They did with the honorable thing. They didn't even ask me about it in my vetting because it was a no issue. If it was an issue to them, those guys are well versed in Shinola sensors. All right. So I want to say that to everybody. We come into this thing clean, no judgments. Okay. And that's why I want to be there at the vetting committee. And I encourage everybody to be there if you want to be there. So when we want to set it up, your schedule, Ray. Not this week, next week?
Not next week, maybe week after.
You name it, buddy.
I'll be back on the 5th of July.
It's 2 weeks out. So hopefully people can put it on their radar. We put it out there. If you want to get your input, we'll set the date right now.
Oh, you do have meetings on Wednesdays for the militia. You want to try Thursday the 11th? Is there anything going on then?
I don't have anything.
How about you, Chris? Chris said, I think
Be
he's
fine
good
with me
after
also.
6:30.
Should be good for me also.
Okay.
I want to invite too, all vetted, all people that have been through the vetting process. We want
Yeah.
your input. We want your input. It's an AAR. It's an after action review. And part of that is bringing up. You're required to bring up things that you could do different. You can't leave an AAR in the military. I don't want to make it military, but you can't leave an AAR unless you at least come up with one negative thing that's happened. So I encourage it. I look forward to it. And Laura's got her hand up.
I just
ahead,
do
Laura.
litigation meetings on Thursdays. They start at 5 and then I go directly into Anna's meeting. So Thursday's not good for me. That's all I was going to say. I mean, I don't have to be there, but I yield.
Do you want to be there?
I'd like to be there.
Well, what about that Friday? The 12th?
I can do that Friday. The 6th?
The 12th?
No, the 12th. Yes.
Does that work for you, everybody else? Chris, you okay with that?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Justin on Lincoln. I'm to the point to where I've got all my issues pretty much squared away. If I can get 2 weeks notice on just about anything, I'm good. So
Okay, Friday the 12th at 6:30 p.m.
6:30. I'm just kidding.
It don't matter to me. We can do
No,
6:30.
I'm just kidding, brother. I seriously am. Vetting committee discussion 6:30 Friday, July 12th. I got it. I'll
All
get
right,
set.
that's when Chris gets off work though. We gotta wait on Chris. He's the man. Okay. And like Justin said, AAR, if you guys that have been vetted, if you see something I'm doing wrong or could do better, I'd appreciate it. Bring it up. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. If we can make it better, that's what I want to do. So with that, I yield on the vetting.
right, thanks, Trey. Great job. Great job, everybody. Secretary report, I believe Belinda said you already covered that. Am I correct in that? Or did you have something for a secretary report? Belinda?
I think Belinda's on.
Yeah.
Nick was on good.
I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm not seeing her. I think she covered it.
Okay, I think you're right. I just had one question regarding the state sheriff. The answer might have got lost in the sauce for me, but I just wanted to clarify that Nick could serve as the state sheriff and the international business pillar coordinator or chairperson at the same time. Is that correct?
At this point, yes, y'all. I think we're all at a general consensus on that. At this point of the ball game, yes, it's a conflict of interest. It certainly is. But Nick from what I can tell, is a stand-up guy, right? I'm a stand-up guy. You're a stand-up guy, right? Tom is. If he can handle it, and if he's willing to, of course, get that ball rolling, because that's the example that Ohio has set, and their chairman, from talking to her one-on-one on the phone in conversations, she pretty much led every committee that was set up until somebody else was feel comfortable enough to take that over. But to answer your question, yes, at this point, unless somebody's got a direct concern with it, I don't see a problem in him. It's a conflict of interest, yes, but down the road we'll hash that out. Right now, it's a necessity. Not really a necessity, but the opportunity is there to work with other states. That's why it's a necessity, because of the opportunity that's presented to us. We need somebody right now it's the Marshal-At-Arms, but once I establish that line of communication, any state citizen can talk to any other state citizen outside of our borders. State nationals, no. That's not my rule. That's not Ohio's rule. That's the Federation's rule. That's our forefathers' rule. That's how they created it. And that's what we're trying to restore. So, Nick, another thing to put on your radar is the state citizen status. I'm not sure it necessarily is necessary on the county level, but I'm pretty sure anything at the state level is required to be a state citizen. Okay, so my apologies for, if it seems like the information is coming from behind and we seem like we're making up information as we go, we're not. It's just we're all learning as we go. So, and if you do state citizen, then you could do International Business Committee Assembly as well and speak with other states and coordinate meetings between yourself and their international business pillars and establish communications that way. So, hope I did a good job answering that. I yield.
Thanks, Justin. Todd, you have your hand raised?
Yes, this just was a question I actually posted in the chat, but maybe Justin didn't see it or anyone else. I watched one of Anna's videos, and it had something to do with being a state citizen, and if you were married and your spouse wasn't hadn't corrected their status, something to do based off, I guess, who was like the breadwinner, if you will. You couldn't be a state citizen. Like, for example, we typically think of the male as being the breadwinner, but it's not always the case. But if he wasn't status corrected, then the woman couldn't become a state citizen because of that. Is there anything that you know of, Justin, or anybody else? Because it may not affect us now. I just was wondering for down the road. I yield.
If there's nobody else, he addressed me, but I'm going to yield to anybody else that wants to help answer that has knowledge on that. I do have an answer. Okay, my answer to that is I'm in that position. I'm a state citizen. My wife is still a U.S. citizen. Don't affect me. What she does, that does not affect me. What Laura does not affect me. Well, you see what I'm saying? That I don't see how that, and I'm not saying Anna didn't say that. I didn't see it. But as far as I know, I even tried to defend my wife through due process when a lawyer came after her for medical bills. He came as a third party debt collector. But anyway, I started a due process on behalf of her, being married to her as a state citizen. Just being married to her, trying to throw an umbrella over her. And they just railroaded her right through. They sent her a certified mail summons. She went down and picked it up. And then that did the contract right there. There was nothing I could do. But anyway, that's the sidebar issue for something else. I don't think it affects you because we're all on our own soul journey. We're getting the train moving, baby. And eventually they're going to see it and they're going to want to hop on it. And I yield with that.
Thank you. That's what I thought as well.
Nick, you have your hand raised?
Yes, sir. Nicholas on Garrett. It was just a quick question, I think, probably to Justin. I haven't sent my notices off yet, and that's what is required to be the citizen, the American state citizen. But also, when I get vetted by the Federation, are they still behind on all that stuff, or you think that would happen pretty quickly as far as getting vetted through the Federation? I yield.
I kind of got lost. Go ahead, Joe. I lost the question. Go ahead, Joe. He's got his hand up.
Yeah, there still is a backlog. CMS is having to kind of prioritize whatever assembly has substantiated any progress for those roles. But we can make it happen, or they can make it happen. But again, they have a pretty serious backlog right now.
And as far as my notices that I'm going to send them off tomorrow, I've already talked to my local post office. They're not wanting to send them unless it's a security bond. They're not wanting to send it registered mail. She said, which means it goes under lock and key and it just slows the whole process down. She said, I refuse to do it. There was another American State National came in here and thinks he owns the post office and told me I had to do it. She said, unless it's a security bond, we don't have to send it registered. So my question is, I'm going to send the notices off, but I want to make sure that we've got record that they were sent and they were received. So is there another method besides registered mail that we can use to get those notices sent off? I yield.
Hey, Nick, I want to answer that question, but out of respect for everybody's time, can we go ahead and adjourn the meeting? I also want to quickly, under recording, address your question about the backlog with the Continental Marshal Service. The guidance is to fill out the request through the service and go on and function in that role, in honor as in that role. We do the vetting at the state level and do all the lead work for the Continental Marshal Service to where they can come in, look over the stuff, and it's just easier that way for them. So don't let the backlog hold you up to being able to successfully operate in your position within our assembly. As far as the notice answer, I've got a lot to say on that postal worker, and so if out of respect for time, if we want to adjourn, is there anybody else that wants to address Nick's question about the backlog? Is that okay, Nick, if we do that, buddy?
Yeah, it's perfectly okay, brother. I just, like I said, I didn't realize I hadn't been keeping an eye on the time. We've been on here almost 3 hours, so that's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And on that point, we're going to have to get used to going a little longer because now that we got business to talk about, Ohio's meetings are going 3 hours. So we'll try and limit that as we get better as a business call. And as I get out and we get a new Marshal-At-Arms in, maybe he won't be as long-winded. But no, I appreciate that. Let's get the meeting adjourned, and then that will be the first issue addressed is the notices. Okay. All right. The date is wrong on here. If we're going to adjourn to the next General Assembly meeting, unless there is a need for a special called assembly meeting, a General Assembly meeting, the date would be, I'm tracking July 30th as the last Tuesday of July.
That's correct.
Okay. So do we have a motion to adjourn to July 30th? I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon to move.
I move.
Last second.
Okay, so we have Ray on Oldham County has moved the floor to adjourn to July 30th. We have a second by who?
Bob,
Bob.
Jefferson.
All right, thank you, Bob on Jefferson, for that second. Any questions, comments?
May I, Justin?
Yes, please, Anita.
This is Anita on Mead. I just wanted to welcome Ari to be home. Thank you.
Anybody
Thank
else?
you so much.
I was just wondering if we were gonna use other Tuesdays for meetings since we only have the General Assembly on the last Tuesday now. Like maybe an outreach meeting where we all just show up in case anybody has questions. Because I think people that are trying to come on to wait a whole month might be too long. Like I had someone interested today, but she had court and she couldn't make it tonight. So now I have to tell her to wait until July 30th. No, he just said we adjourn until July 30th.
If any time throughout the month, like I put out in my report tonight, if at any time throughout the month, anybody wants to head a meeting and moderate it and do the Bivens decision and all that stuff, feel free to reach out to my office and schedule a meeting on a Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Is there anything else? Okay, with
Just
that.
a calendar issue, we've got the militia tomorrow night and drill assembly on Sunday. I yield.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. All right. Is there any abstain to adjourn to July 30th? Any nays? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, y'all. Thank y'all. Great meeting. I'm sorry it went so long, but like I said, a lot of business to hash out. And once we get committees established, we'll be able to work those out within those committees. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good night.